got to be talking to him for like 5 seconds. But then I met him, and he's just an absolute joy. One of the most humble people I've ever met, not just in this industry, but like just in real life. You just meet the guy, and he's phenomenal. He's just super, super nice. And he's got this unpronounceable last name, and he's probably made $1 million while I've been talking. He's a freak. We're all freaks, right? You know? But he lives in South Dakota, and nobody lives in South Dakota. There's like 4 people that live in South Dakota, and he's one of them. And cows. There's some cows in South Dakota. So, you know who I'm talking about. Give him a wonderful, warm, Empower Network welcome, Mr. Vick Strizheus!
Hey everybody! How are you guys? Man, this is awesome. I got 15 minutes. How many of you guys were in Chicago? Yeah. You know, they gave me like, I think 45 minutes in Chicago, and I think I went over by like 20 minutes. So I don't know what I'm going to tell in 15 minutes. It's good to be with you guys. I always love to be around, you know, cool people, and I consider, you know, Empower Network to be my, you know, second family, because you guys are just cool. So what I want to do is I want to get straight to the, you know, to the things that I wanted to share with you. Okay, I'm the kind of guy who, you know, I don't want to pump you up. You guys are already pumped, yes? What you guys thought about the yesterday's, you know, the End 2.0 version? Is that awesome? You know, I think it's going to triple my income just like that. You know why? Because I think that every single entrepreneur, every single person who is doing any kind of business, online or offline, right? You know, network marketers, you know, affiliate marketers, personal, you know, info marketers, offline mom and pop shop owners, right? Diaper sellers, you know, flower shop owners. Anybody would be able to use this product, and they will need it, right? It's a way to communicate. So I think what's about to happen here to the Empower world is the doors are about to just open like it has never been opened before. And we need to be ready, don't we? Right? So what I want to talk to you guys about is, I want to talk about from, you know, some things that I have experienced and some things that have helped me, you know, get me to where I'm at today in business. And, you know, I don't see myself as somebody who's, you know, quote unquote a riot or whatever. I'm just having fun. You know, this business thing is for lack of a better word, it's a game for me. You know, but it's a game that I like to play because I don't consider this work. I enjoy what I do. I love what I do. You know, when I see a lot of you guys in the hallways and you guys coming up and saying, Vic, thank you. You know, one idea that I got from you, one idea that I got from, you know, people who were on this stage before me made a difference for me. That's important. You know, that's important for us. And so what I want to talk to you guys about is how do you build your business so that you can be up here on stage, and every one of you guys have the same potential. You know, I'm coming from a very, very humble background. You know, my parents. I came to the States when I was 12 years old. Right. My parents were, you know, very hardworking parents. They gave us the best they could from what they had. Right. But I don't remember myself going and traveling going to like any vacations when I was a kid. You know, our vacations was going to the grandpa's house and grandma's house. You know, but when I got married, I wanted to give my kids what I did not have myself, right? And I got the best parents in the world. So my thing is, when I got to this industry, is I wanted, you know, I had a dream, I had a desire. And I told you guys that in Chicago. I don't want to repeat myself, but I do want to kind of boil everything down. And I was, like this morning, you know, I woke up and they told me I'm going to be speaking. And I'm like, what's the topic? They're like, whatever you want to talk about. You know, so I guess I can tell you jokes, or I can tell you how to build a business, you know. But I think it would be useful to, you know, to talk about building a business. So friends, here's what everything boils down to this. And I want to leave you with this because it's not going to be theory, it's going to be, I'm going to teach you from experience. I never ever want to teach theory, okay? And something I'm going to recommend you guys as well. Don't teach from theory, teach from experience. Okay, because when you teach, like if you heard somebody saying something and then you're gonna, rehash it yourself, but you've never experienced it, it's gonna be difficult for you to connect to that person, right? It's gonna be difficult for you to get your message across in a way so that it would affect the person that's listening to you. But if you have, if you lived it, if you know, if you actually experienced it, then it's easy for you to transfer that, right? And selling, folks, is a transference of feelings. Okay, selling is a transference of feelings. So how you feel about what what you're doing, deep down, not on your surface level, but deep down, how you feel about it, is what's going to transfer over. So when I got started in this business, it was 8 years ago. Before that, I was broke. Okay, I was at the point in my life we did not have $1.19 to my name. But I was just fortunate enough to come across some right people in my, early in my career, and I was smart enough to listen to them. I had a mentor who said, Vick, he told me what I needed to hear, and he didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. A lot of times we go to our uplines or we go to our sponsors, and we're asking them questions, and then when they tell us something, we don't like that answer, right? And then we're looking for a different answer, right? My mentor said, Vick, before you start talking about building a business, before you start talking about making money, he said, in 3 to 5 years from now, you will be like the books you read and people you hang out with, period. Okay? And you know what I said? I said, I like that, but I don't like the 3 to 5 years part. I want to make it quicker. He said, you can. He said, you can do that. You can compress time frames. And I said, how do you do that? Because keep in mind, I'm broke, and this guy is earning $200,000 a month. Okay, and I want to be like him. Okay, folks, if I can tell you anything right now, right, and that would be this: your current situation doesn't matter. Some of you guys, how many of you guys had to go through like enormous struggles to get here? Yeah. How many of you guys are currently experiencing turbulence in your business right now? A lot of you. Okay, I was that guy. Folks. Right now, I can look any one of you in the eyes, and I can tell you that you can do this. Okay? Because I've done it, folks. And why am I so confident when I talk about this stuff is because I lived it. And not only that it worked for me, you guys heard Paulo Borso last night, right? And he said there was a 30-day little deal that he went through that allowed him to have a massive breakthrough. And the guy earned like over $200,000 in like 6 months with Empower Network, right? Again, talking about incomes, results are not typical. You can make zero, you can die, I don't know, But when you do, when you work, right? When you work and you do certain things a certain way, folks, it will work for anybody, regardless of your experience, regardless of how bad you're struggling right now. Okay? I don't buy any excuses. Here's what my mentor said. He said, Vick, you can compress time frames, and you can do that by just taking massive action in the areas that I'm going to tell you. And he said, look, before you're going to start building your business, you have to have a clear idea and a clear picture of what your business is going to look like. Okay? We're going to talk about marketing, guys. I'm going to give you some marketing advice. I'm going to give you a lot of tips when it comes to like building your actual business, the actual how-to, right? Before we can get there, I want to make sure that you guys, everybody in this room, if you guys just get this, I promise you, in the next 6 to 12 months, you can be on stage with Paulo Borso. Okay? You can be earning $40,000 a month. You can be earning $50,000 a month. You can be earning $100,000 a month. The difference is going to be, and I don't say this just to say it, guys. I believe it. Okay? So here's the deal. Imagine this, this convention center, right? Before they built it, what needed to happen? Somebody, an architect, they had a clear picture of what this whole thing is going to look like, didn't they? It was very, very clear. They didn't start building it and then say, okay, we're just going to do this, and then when we get to tomorrow, we'll figure out what to do next, right? Imagine what would happen. Imagine building a skyscraper and a guy's building it. They're like, well, we're just going to, lay these bricks here or blocks or whatever, put these panels up, and then we'll see. We'll see where this goes, right? You see, guys, that's how a lot of people build in their business. They started, and they say, well, I don't really know. I'll just go with the flow and see what's going to happen. They don't know what they're going to do, a month from today, a year from today. They don't know what their business is going to look like. Okay, and see what happens. is they're building this skyscraper, and this is a, for lack of better metaphor, I'll just use this for example because it relates to what we do. Okay, they're building their skyscraper, their business, right? They're looking at Vick's business right here, all right? And this is his big skyscraper, whatever, and I'm whatever I was able to achieve up to this point. They look at Tony Rush, Aaron Reshkin, Tracy Walker, and Lawrence Tam, and they're saying, how awesome would it be for me to have that? And you know what most people do? They're jealous. They get jealous, right? But see, the reality is, what's the difference between his business and your business? It's because he built it, doing certain things a certain way. And what most people are doing is they get it up to like the second floor, right? And because they don't lay the foundational stuff right, their whole structure collapses. And they're trying to rebuild it again, right? And people jumping from business to business to business to business, right? Blaming the opportunity, blaming the sponsors, blaming the company, the compensation plan, the products. They're blaming everybody but themselves. But see, the reality is they're going from this business to this business, taking the same person to the next company. It's not the business that's going to make you successful, okay? I cannot make you successful. Nobody here can make you successful. You can make yourself successful, okay? I want everybody to understand that. So if we think about it, as business owners, we need to be very, very clear. Number one, there's three things I want to talk to you guys about, okay? Number one is and I start all of my teachings, all my coaching with this: foundation, okay? Foundational stuff. What is it? Well, thing number one in the first category is you have to have a clear vision what your perfect business, your perfect life would look like. When was that? Friday? I think Friday Dave talked about the clarity, right? Friday was all about clarity. How many of you, and I'm just curious, okay, just be honest, how many of you guys actually sat down with a pad and pen and wrote out, if you could create your perfect day, if you had the magical powers to create it any way you wanted, how would that look like? I'm talking about, like, you wake up in the morning, right? What do? What time you wake up? Where do you go to eat breakfast? With whom you eating breakfast? What are your activities throughout the day? How do you feel about, when you wake up? How do you feel about your day? How do you feel about your life? Like, how many of you guys actually have that written down? Give yourself a hand. For those of you guys who have that, give yourself a hand. That is probably the most important thing you can do. Okay, is get very, very, very clear down to the details. So the second thing, what we need inspiration. Okay, we have this blueprint, we have this vision of what we want, right? Then what we need inspiration, because we can have this, and if we're lacking inspiration, and here's the best metaphor I can tell you for inspiration thing, right? Is that picture an airplane, yeah, Boeing 777, right? It's on a runway and it's about to take off. The runway has to be long enough for the plane to get to a certain speed before it can take off, right? What would happen if the plane just, it would go and it would get up to 100 miles an hour and then it tries to take off? It's going to crash, right? It's not going to work. In our business, we need inspiration, folks. Inspiration is the runway and this airplane heading. You get to a certain point, you come to these events, and that's why it's so critical to come to events, is because you get to a point. If you listen to Inner Circles audios long enough, right? You watch other successful people long enough. You read long enough, right? You think about your goals long enough, folks. The more inspiration you put in, the more inspirational stories that you look up to, right? That's why I'm saying, hey, turn off all the negativity around you. Don't tolerate that, because that's going to kill your inspiration, okay? Look at people who are going in the direction you want to go. You have this perfect, image of what you want your life, your business to be like. Look at people who have that and get around them as much as possible, okay? Because you need to get inspired. We need to get inspired. The reason I come to these events, part of a big reason why I'm here is because I want to be inspired. When I hear people on stage here, when I talk to Dave and Dave, I get inspired. I get inspired and I get fired up. We need that. People say I don't need inspiration. I just want to know the how to. No, we need inspiration, right? Third thing in this first category, in the foundational stuff, is, and this is a big one, okay? And when I discovered this, I changed a lot of my thought process. Was changed, and that is this: if I was to, what's your name, man? Tamara, how you doing? Give Tamara a hand, guys. Tamara. Tamara, if I was to ask you, give me 3 of your I ams. Like I am, well, like myself. Like I'm a guy. You know, I'm 29 years old. What will be your 3 I ams for you? Yeah, like I am such and such. I am this. I'm that. Like what would be the 3 I ams? I'm a very powerful woman. Cool. I'm a very loving, giving person. I'm very focused and driven. Awesome. What's your name, bro? Yeah. Thomas, give me your 3 I ams. Real quick. Just anything. I'm a Polish dancer. I'm a giver of light. I'm always associating myself with top leaders and see myself, yeah, cool. Here's, give Thomas a hand, guys. You guys did better than most people, okay? When I talk to people and say, hey, give me your 3 I ams, people say, well, I'm an engineer, I'm, male, I'm married, and I'm, and that's about it. You guys actually went a little bit further. Here is what I've discovered. This concept called the I am concept, right? Think about this. How would you feel if you would see yourself as this? I am a leader. And I'm not talking about leading people, guys. Okay? I am a leader. If you ask me, Vic, what's your, I ams? The big one is I am a leader. And what I mean by that is, I'm a leader of myself. First. Okay? If we can't lead ourselves, we can't lead others. And if we can't lead others, we can't build a successful business. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? So if you think about this, and if you adapt this belief about yourself, you have to do it internally, right? I'm a leader, because you guys are leaders. Non-leaders don't come to events like this, guys. We should stay at home. You guys are leaders. Okay? You guys believe that? That will shift your focus. That will shift the way you do business and the way you interact with people is, I am a leader. And you don't have to have this ego. The worst thing, the fastest way you can crush your business and just, and shut down that valve of prosperity, or whatever you want to call it, that pipe that would deliver you all the good stuff, right, is when you have your ego, getting ahead of you, okay? No egos. And Power Network has no egos. That's what I love about this company. Dave and Dave, they got no egos, okay? And as a leader, guys, as a leader of yourself, you have to be, leaders are servants, right? If you have that attitude that I am a leader, and I'm a leader of myself first, and every single day, you say, I'm a leader. And what do leaders do? Leaders do what needs to be done regardless of how they feel, okay? So, that's kind of the fundamentals. How do you do that? Folks, I'm big on reading. Again, I told it, you guys listen probably to the inner circle stuff. In Chicago, I was always talking about reading, listening, getting yourself around people who are going in the direction you want to go. I listen to Empower Inner Circles every single day. This morning, I went to 7-Eleven to get something. I was listening to Empower Hour, I listen to that stuff every single day. How many of you guys do that every single day? Okay? Not enough. Look around. Look around the room. It would be more useful to look around the room. Folks, listen to this stuff every single day. Okay? Important. So, your foundational stuff, okay? I'm going to leave it as that for now. Let's talk about step number 2 in your business. Step number 2 is you need to have 3 skills that will help you build your business, that will allow you to build your business. In our business, what we need, and this is going to be on top of the foundational stuff we've been talking about up to this point, right? First skill is you need to learn how to get traffic to your website, right? Because the website is given to you. Empower Network, you're blogging, whatever, right? It's there. You don't have to, mess around with technology. So the first skill that we need to master, everybody, is how do I get traffic? How do I get people to see my website right over here? How do I get 50 people to see my site today? Every morning when you wake up, how do I get 50 people to see my site today? Okay? Second skill is how do I convert those people into customers? Okay? And third skill is how do I communicate with my customers so they buy all the products? And how do I communicate in a way so that I build community around what I'm doing? Okay? Every single dollar is going to come from people. Every single dollar that we earn is going to come from somebody's pocket. Okay? And we do that by obviously selling products that is of a greater value than the money that we get paid for. Okay? So these are the three essential basic fundamental skills when it comes to building a business. And if you master those three skills and you have and you do this fundamentals, foundational stuff over here, guys, you can create freedom in your business, you can create freedom in your life. So let's talk about how do you get traffic. You want to talk about that? Okay? Here's how you get traffic, and I got 7 minutes left here. So here's how to get traffic. When it comes to traffic, folks, if I told you, go to xyzcompany.com, go to this vendor and get traffic there, 6,000 of you would go there and it's not going to work. The best advice I can tell you as an entrepreneur is dig your own well. Dig your own well so you have your own fresh water to drink out of. Okay? How do you do that? Question, right? How do you do that? Because if you build your own well, my friend, you don't have to depend on anybody. You don't have to depend on your sponsor. You don't have to depend on the company. You can create money. You can print money, quote unquote, right? And you can decide how much money you want to make, and you can do it. How did I get to where I'm at today? How did I get this rank, folks? Anybody can do this if you master those three things, the three skill sets and foundational stuff. Foundational stuff never ever go away. That's daily stuff. That's daily stuff. And if you just if you focus on the three, skill sets and you omit the foundations on a daily basis, guess what? The three things you're focusing on, the skill sets, is going to be like building your empire, and no foundation is going to collapse. Every time you try something, it's going to collapse. Every time you try something, it's going to collapse. And you're going to say, what am I doing wrong? I'm doing everything they're telling me to do. I'm blogging, I'm this and this. But you know what? It's weird. You can have two people doing this exact same thing side by side, and one guy can be successful, one guy can be failing. And you couldn't tell the difference in their marketing. They're doing the exact same thing, selling the same product. Why? This is why. One guy's doing the foundational stuff. He's reading, he's listening, he's putting good stuff in, right? To have good stuff, showing his results. That's the difference, folks. So how do you dig your own well for traffic? Good question. So here's how. I'll give you guys a couple of resources. And to be honest with you, this is the kind of stuff that I usually reserve for people who who pay like $20,000 to coach with me. So the easiest thing you can do, right, is just simple. A lot of times we look for complicated stuff, but we don't see the simple stuff, the basic stuff that's right in front of our eyes, right in front of our nose, right? Here's what you guys can start tonight, right? The very, very basic thing that you can do is just go to Google, just say, how do I get traffic to my website? Here's something else. You go to sites like weather.com, CNN.com, MSNBC.com, just any big, gigantic sites, right? And you scroll all the way down, and there's going to be an advertise link at the bottom of the site, right? You click there, it's going to take you to vendors or the networks, advertising agencies that allow advertisers to place ads on that site, okay? Banners, email promotions, and stuff like that. You contact that agency and you say, hey, I'm promoting this, and I'd like to use you to get traffic, okay? What would you recommend? My budget is $500 or $50 or $5,000. What would you recommend I do? What kind of packages do you have for me? If those big networks, they're servicing, advertisement spots on sites like CNN and weather.com and so forth, right? And you guys all seen like weight loss products and, make money products and stuff like that, because this is so generic, right? Everybody wants to make money, right? And especially right now with the new system they're coming out, everybody would need this. right? And we can just sell it as a product. So you go to these networks and you talk to them, and they'll tell you. They say, hey, we have these, list of 50 or 70 sites you can go to, and then you buy some ads. That's how you dig your own well, right? You test it, you see what's working, you keep what's working, and what's not working, you drop it. Okay. But see, what you do as an entrepreneur is you have this mentality that I'm a leader, I don't have to depend on anybody else, and I will be a little bit creative, right, to get that, and you will discover your own sources, and you won't have to rely on anybody else. And then what you can do is you can, as you're building your group of people, you can share and you can teach what's working for you, but you never teach from theory, you teach from experience, you see. Is this making sense, guys? Okay. Now, I'll give you a couple other sites that you can, this is a little bit more advanced now. You can go to site like, whatrunswhere.com or like compete.com. These are paid services, but what that allows me to do is, you can put any website in the search, and it's going to tell you where their traffic is coming from. So you can put, CNN.com. It's going to tell you where their traffic is coming from. You can go to like ClickBank, right, and take a look at the marketplace and see what the top products are, right? And you want to know how come they're at the top. You want to know where they get their traffic at, where they advertise. So you go to like e-learning category in ClickBank, and you want to see, because those products are very similar in the same niche as ours, right? And so you put that URL in there, and it's going to tell you where they get their traffic from. And you have a list of 200, 300 sites. Boom, 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 you contact them, and see what packages they have. Make sense? Yeah. So, and so what you do is you dig your own well, and you master this first skill set, which is traffic generation. Okay, guys. And if you just go to Google and just Google it, I mean, guys, we don't lack resources. It's all out there, right? But we sometimes just have to be a little bit more creative, and we just have to kind of step back, right, and take a look at what's out there and just think, I'd like to simplify everything. I'm like, well, if there's a site and they have banners on the site, and the site looks like I can advertise on, how can I get my banner on that site? Well, again, there's an advertise link at the bottom of the site. Click, boom, you got it, okay? Make sense? Okay, cool. Skill set number 2 is conversions, yeah? Conversions, friends, is going to come down to, a lot of it is going to come down to you, okay? So, how do you, and conversions and communication is going to go hand in hand. Now, your conversions are going to be taken care of by a lot of times by the system, okay? And Power Network has a system in place. They got the sales process taken care of pretty much, right? But not everybody's going to buy as they go through that funnel for the first time, right? So your conversions and your communication is going to go hand in hand. These are two skills that kind of go hand in hand, right? So you're sending traffic to your landing page, you have your list, right? People who opt into your landing page, they go through the through the sales video. 5% or 7% of however many will buy, right? Well, 95% won't. How do you communicate to those 95%ers to get them to buy? Because they're on your list, and you monetize your list, right? And so how you do that is, first of all, it goes back a lot of it to the foundational stuff. Okay, folks, you communicate to your people not from the perspective of just get this because you need it, get this. You communicate to them based on their vision. Okay, what they want on a deeper level for themselves and their families and their businesses. Okay, so for example, if you're selling a blogging system, it's not a blogging system that they need. It's not. We think they want a blogging system, right? But it's, what is this system going to do for them? Okay, if you're talking to a chiropractor, right, and you're talking about this version 2.0 blogging platform, right, you're not going to say, hey, you need to get this blogging platform for your practice. He doesn't need it. He doesn't think he needs it, right? But what if you just talk to him and say, hey, this is going to help you build your business, right, by using this and get more exposure. Does that make sense? So you talk to your customers based on what their bigger vision is and really what they want on a deeper level. Okay, people want to make money. If you're talking about an opportunity or whatever, people don't want money. People want a better lifestyle. Right? Everybody has a dream. And if you can touch and if you can talk to people about dreams, you will be a lot more successful. Okay, so that's that. And how do you do that, guys? You do that by listening. You do that by going through the 15K formula. How many of you guys have 15K formula here? Yeah, awesome, awesome. For those of you guys who don't, you want to get it. Okay, there's a wealth of information there. I went through the 15K formula probably at least two times. Okay, some modules I went through like 4 times. Okay, there's a lot there. Okay, we just have to go through that. We don't buy success. You cannot buy success. Okay, you cannot buy. You say, I'm just gonna pay somebody to run my business for you. Mistake. Okay, imagine a doctor going to college and he's gonna say, I'm just gonna buy my diploma. I'm gonna buy my degree. Would you want to go to that doctor? I wouldn't. Folks, as entrepreneurs, we have to learn the game. We have to become masters of the game. Okay? And it's simple. Just take the time to go. Thing number 3, okay, I'm gonna tell you is this. You have to learn how to manage your day. Okay, you have to learn how to, because I was just talking to somebody the other day. This guy called me up, he's like, Vic, I'm struggling. I'm not making money and I'm working, from 3 p.m. to 1 a.m. I'm like, first of all, what are you doing? That many hours. And so with that we started talking, and he's like, well, I'm creating images, and I'm doing a lot of the, imagery and editing, and I'm like, you don't do that. Not when you're starting out. You don't do that, okay? What we need to focus on is we need to focus on the income-producing activities. What are the income-producing activities in our business? 3 things, okay? Number 1 is personal development. Number 1 is your income-producing activity, right? 30 minutes a day of reading, 30 minutes a day of listening to a positive audio, daily. Daily. Okay, I don't care if you have to wake up at 6 a.m., and listen to it before you go to work. Do it, folks, because you're investing in your future. Does that make sense? And it goes back to how bad you want it, all right? So that's your income-producing activity number 1, and you can do that in 1 hour a day. Income-producing activity number 2 is you set yourself, let's say an hour or 2 hours, okay? I'm going to be in a research mode. I'm going to be digging my well. Make sense? I'm going to be looking for my traffic sources, and I'm going to set it for 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day, and you put a timer on it, okay? You don't look at Facebook when you do that activity. You don't look at, you don't mess around with anything else. You get laser focused on this one activity, and you have a timer that's running, and when the timer goes off, you drop that activity, and you go on to your 3rd activity of the day, which is implementing, okay? Implementing and testing. Guys, these are your 3 income-producing activities. Basically what it boils down to. I'm going to give you something I'm going to give you one tip that will absolutely change your business if you take it seriously, okay? Figure out, what's your income goal, brother? Okay. I was actually just looking for the number. 6,000 a month? Okay. Cool. So here's what you can do, okay? Here's what you can do. You figure out what your hour, productive hour is worth, okay? You want to get to 6, are you at 6,000 right now or no? Okay, so you want to get to 6,000, okay? Here's what you do. You get out your calculator, right? And you do this. You know what I found? Is that average CEO gets like 20 minutes of productive time, in a day. 20 minutes. The rest of the time they're just screwing off, doing nothing. Checking Facebook, checking emails, checking their stats, whatever, okay? Let's say, I don't care who you are, I don't think that everybody's gonna get 8 hours of productive time in a day. Like really, really productive. Like you're not doing anything else but focusing on your productivity, right? Can you guys dedicate, 3 hours per day to this business? How many of you guys can dedicate 3 hours per day in this business? I'm gonna show you a formula that's gonna change your business, okay? So, your name is Thomas, right? Thomas. So Thomas, your goal, let's do this together, right? So your goal is to, let me see if I can find my calculator here. Okay, so let's say you're gonna dedicate 3 hours per day, and you'll be absolutely laser focused on that, right? Here's what you do. You take your goal, 6,000 a month, right? And so you take 5 hours per day times 30 days a week, on average, okay? 150 hours a month. Make sense? So you take 5 hours per day times 30 days a month. In a month, right? Roughly. 30 days? Thank you. 3 hours. We talked about 3 hours, okay? So let's say 3 hours. Yeah. You guys keeping me on track. That's good. 3 times 30, correct? So it's 90 hours of productive time per month is your actual productivity, right? You take your goal, you take $6,000 that you want to earn per month, divided by your 90 hours that you're going to be working per month, productive, okay? And you have a number. In this case, it's $66 an hour, okay? So then you ask yourself, when you're working, is what you're doing worth at least 66 bucks? Make sense? So my goal is to make $1 million a month with Empower, okay? My number per hour of productive time is 7,000, okay? I know that to the T. I know exactly what I need to do based on how many hours of actual productive time that I'm working on my business, not Facebook, not checking your stats, not checking your emails, actual productive time. And is what I'm doing right now, when I work, and I have a timer going, is what I'm doing worth at least 7,000 this hour. Okay? And guys, personal development is not excluded. Make sense? Guys, I'm out of time. But you guys are awesome. Thank you. Here's something, guys. Here's one other thing I'm gonna leave you with. Okay, here's what I'm gonna leave you with. Guys, I believe in you. I truly do. I believe in everyone that I've met you, every one of you guys that I met and I looked into your eyes. I believe you guys are all winners. Not because, I'm just saying it. No. Listen, because I was in your position. A lot of you guys, and I don't know many of you, right? I don't know what you're going through right now. But I believe you guys can do anything you set your mind to. Anything. 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 You guys say anything. Anything. You can do anything you set your mind to, folks. Don't let anybody derail you. Don't let anybody steal your dream. Guys, you have a dream. You guys have a dream? You guys go for it. Okay? And this business is simple. Keep it simple, right? Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate simple stuff. Focus on the things I've been sharing with you, folks. It will change your business. Do it for, how many of you guys will do this for the next 6 months? Okay? Do this for the next 6 months and see what happens. Okay? Guys, I'm done. I love you all. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys around.